Today I want to tell you a little parable, a little story about what happens to missionaries, to cross-cultural missionaries, and especially to cross-cultural missionary kids. And to do this, I would just use a little bit of watercolor here. Now, basically, here's my parable. Once upon a time, there was a missionary who lived in the land of yellow. And this missionary in the land of yellow felt the call of God, that God was calling him to leave the people that he was comfortable with and to go all the way to the other side of the world, the equator, if you would, all the way to the other side of the world to try to reach an unreached people group in the land of blue. So he traveled all the way to the land of blue. But then there's a problem. You see, the problem was this. He doesn't fit in. He doesn't have blues shared history. He doesn't have blues culture. He doesn't have blues language. He doesn't have blues dress. He doesn't have blues norms and mores and social understandings. He doesn't have any of blues ingrained cultural history and understanding. He does not share blues worldview. Now, he has a biblical worldview, but he also has a yellow worldview. And as he gets there, he begins to do his best to break into the land of blue. And he's trying. And what he does is he just commits himself. And he decides one day he is just going to completely immerse himself into the land of blue. And he is going to do everything that he can. He can't change the fact that he's not blue. But he can do as many blue things as possible. And what he wants to do is take his message, sent by God, but from the land of yellow to the land of blue. And that's what missionaries do. Missionaries, we go and we cross cultures. And we do all these cultural boundaries. And what we want to do is called contextualize the truth. We want to take God's timeless truth and take it and we want to put it in the context where we are. And what we want to do is we want to change what we can to keep the unchangeable intact. A friend of mine once told me, he said, what Americans try to do is bring the gospel to Ghana in an American coffee cup. But we need the gospel in a Ghanaian clay pot. Well, this is what the missionary did. He stayed and decided to just immerse himself. And so he focused on doing what he could to learn the language of the blue. He began to dress like the people in the land of blue. He changed his hairstyle to fit as best as he could the land of blue. He began to see things from the perspective of the land of blue. And over a period of time, things began to change in his life. He began to understand the blue people. As this happened, things began to have clarity. Culture shock left. And instead of being a stranger in a strange land, he began to adapt to the culture. And this land of blue slowly became his home. Well, then something happened. Over a period of time, changes take place, and the man doesn't even know that it's going on. But one day, it's time to return. Now, as he's going, realize he's not blue. He isn't a blue person, and he never will be blue. But as he goes, some changes have happened, and he doesn't realize it until he gets back to the land of yellow. And now there's a problem. And you can see what the problem is. Just like he used to not fit in the land of blue because he wasn't blue, now he doesn't fit in the land of yellow because he's not yellow. You see, what has happened is he is part of both worlds and part of neither world. That he is not blue, but he's not yellow. He's something unique. This is what happens to missionaries, and this is what happens to missionary kids. And this is a struggle that missionary kids and that missionaries have, that we find ourselves both and neither or.